Gerald Celente. Too bad time's winding down, but I'll continue with calls even after he leaves us. But look at Europe. Just 2 weeks ago, the Prime Minister of England came out and said, well, you are under the euro, and we are going to steal hundreds of billions from you, and you're not going to ever be able to get out of it. And I understand 85% in polls of you want to be able to vote on being brought into the euro, but I've decided that I'm not going to allow that. I mean, he even tells you that he's going to sit there and treat you like an absolute prisoner. I mean, I guess because they are prisoners, but it's this... I mean, these guys really are. They do have a confidence game going on.
It is. Oh, he's an Eton boy. You know, these guys, when they fall, there's somebody there to catch them. These guys never got their fingernails dirty in their life. They're a bunch of spoiled little boys. They're only tough when they're up on that podium and they got their phalanx of guards around them, the flunkies to keep the crowds away. I'd like for them to come to talk to me like that. And I like this Pizza Cat, the guy running for President Kane.
Pizza Cat.
He said, you know, those people on Wall Street, they're anti-capitalist. No, Junior, you got it wrong. It's anti-capitalist to bail out banks. You got it? It's anti-capitalist to bail out too big to fails. Got it? It's anti-capitalist to give your buddies tax breaks, loan guarantees. Hey, listen, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create 500 jobs. Oh, great. We'll give you a $40 million tax break. We'll build you an infrastructure, and we'll give you loan guarantees. That's anti-capitalist. This is not capitalism. It's fascism, the merger of state and corporate.
That's right. I never hear Rush Limbaugh complain about $1 billion to Jerry Jones to build that stupid football stadium. Colin in England, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. You're with Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Alex Jones. First thing I'd like to say is, if America falls, then the whole world's going to fall. And Mr. Gerald Celente, where I think he's wrong is, if he thinks that this is going to end without a shot being fired, he's completely mistaken. Over there in America, you're allowed guns, but here in England, you're not even allowed to have a bullet. If the police say you have a bullet, they're going to come kicking off your door.
Well, let me give you a news flash. Let me give you a news flash, Colin. I'm not for violence. You can get any guns you want. You know how easy it is to get guns? All you need is a knife. All you need is a club. You can get all the guns you want. All you got to be is willing to use the club, use the ball-peen hammer. You can get all the guns you want. But it is a culture of not knowing how to use them. You know, that's the real issue, and the real problem is there's not a gun culture. They've eradicated it. But, Colin, go ahead and make your point.
Okay, well, one of the points I wanted to make is that at 9/11, over here, when I was watching on English TV, it was so nauseating. It was so... I wanted to just push my fingers down my throat and vomit. The point I'm trying to make is, out of all the people in America, if even just say 10,000 people got to ground zero on the day, I mean, that is just a fraction of a 1%. What you needed on ground zero is, say, 4 or 5% of the American population to gravitate on ground zero, and they wouldn't be, the police and the army wouldn't be able to control them, and that's how they have to get their message. All right, 9/11 was an inside job, we all know that, and it was a bad day for everyone. But the New World Order used that as a platform to propagate their propaganda. So what we need to do is use 9/11 and ground zero to push the truth, and not only that.
Listen, I hear you, Colin, I hear you. Finish your point, because our guest's got to leave soon. I want to be able to get to some other callers.
What we need is a real push on 9/11. Come 9/11 next year, we need a real. We need more than just a few thousand people at ground zero. One more thing: if you want to sell some T-shirts, I want a T-shirt with your face on it. Those T-shirts will sell. And one more thing: you, to me, Alex Jones, you are like a reincarnation of Malcolm X. You really are. You are doing exactly what Malcolm X was doing. You're not going to shut up. You're not going to go away, and you're not going to keep quiet. I hold you that much in high esteem. You really are the man for the job, and I salute you and I bow down to you, Mr. Malcolm X.
Oh, please stop calling. I appreciate the call. God bless you. Look, I don't. Malcolm X, I think, was probably a better speaker than I am, and he certainly, you saw what the system did to him. But I think we're all basically a little George Washington, a little Malcolm X at the same time. That's what's needed right now. Any comments, Gerald Celente, on what Colin was saying?
Well, of course there's going to be violence, and we're saying it's not going to solve anything. It's only going to make matters worse. And there's no question. You just don't win with violence. Again, you'll be replacing one group of criminals with another. So it has to be an intellectual revolution going to a higher civilization. And I said this before. Matter of fact, the Autumn Trends Journal just came out. And what we do is, the message is, the future is in your hands. Everybody has to do something to change the future in a positive way. But it begins with the individual. There's that Hindu saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. When the people are ready, the change is going to happen. And I don't see the people ready yet. I mentioned about the obesity issue. You have to be in shape physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I'm not talking about, believing in somebody's, other religion. I'm talking about, the truth with yourself. Judgment Day to me is judging yourself. Did you live up to the expectations of who you say you could be? So when enough people start changing, then we see the positive change. Do more people have to get involved? Of course they do. It's happening. Yeah. This is a movement that is a gut issue, and that's why it's happening the way it is.
Well, you're right.
And if the Occupy movements fail, something else is going to follow. Conditions are only going to get worse.
Now, there's no doubt we're in a depression, and they've been covering it up, and you were called the porn pessimist or pessimist porn and all this. And, the guys that were all wrong, they're hailed because they were wrong, because they played along with the, the delusion. But my issue on violence is this. I'm not looking for it. It's not good offensively, but the system pushing too hard and people resisting here and there in their own time, that does scare the system, and that's why they're trying to array all this surveillance and all this tracking. So what if you surveil us? I mean, you just see the fist coming, into your teeth. So at a certain point, it's not going to matter. People are like, oh, you're on a list. Good. Put me on the top of it. At a certain point, their attempt as bullies to dominate us is only going to trigger the opposite response. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and the other thing that's really changed the deal is that now we're watching them. Yeah. I mean, when you see what goes on, how many people are shooting, footage of every movement. So, yeah, you want to watch us? We'll watch you. And guess what? There are more of us than there are you. So this game works two ways. And then the other issue becomes, who are they? What kind of sick minds are watching us all the time? What kind of lives are they leading? And are they afraid? Again, you heard Eric Kitty Cantor say that he was afraid of mob rule down in Wall Street. Oh, you're afraid, little kitty baby? How about going down there yourself and walking through the crowds? Look, they chased, by the way, I stopped going on a lot of the TV shows. I've been turning them down. I'm picking and choosing what I want to do. And I don't want to be on a lot of these shows to get in an argument with somebody because they want me to believe their ideology. I don't tell anybody what to believe. Believe what you want. But don't tell me I have to believe your line. So when they say, for example, like a Cantor or a Bonner or a Kane or the rest of them, the people should go to Washington, don't tell me what I should do. So the point that I'm making, Alex, the future is in our hands, and what they want you to believe is that you have no power. They have no power. The only thing that they have are a bunch of flunkies to fight for them.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, take police in 12 states arresting people that film them in public, even though the courts have all ruled it's constitutional to film somebody in public and record them, but they still keep the arrest going in this desperate temper tantrum to say, don't film us while they're surveilling us. And it's only illustrating to people. They wanted to put Mr. Allison life in prison for filming them in Illinois. And the state attorney came down to the town and went before the judge and said, yes, we want life in prison. We're giving an amicus brief in support of this county. I mean, they're really showing themselves. You're like, really? You want to put a guy with no criminal record because he filmed the police who keep towing his cars from his repair shop business because the police chief's brother or whatever is involved in the business, or one of the top cops' brothers involved in the towing company? You really want to do this? And they're like, yeah, we want life in prison. I mean, at a certain point, it becomes so cartoon land, and their attempt to intimidate us. Do they think with every phone with a camera now, with cameras out the yin-yang, that this is going to intimidate us? I mean, what are they thinking? The opposite is happening, but it shows their disconnect, Gerald.
Yeah, the other thing, too, I came to thought, I'm of the first wave of the baby boomers. And the only reason the baby boomers protested so much in the 1960s and early 70s was the draft, the Vietnam War. And the baby boomers have become a caricature of everything they said they hated. They became the worst of what they claimed they didn't want to happen. They became the ultimate consumers. They built the McMansions. They waged wars. They have done everything that they chastised their parents for. I remember that song, I take the 8:15 into the city and I get to work by 9. 8:15 to the city. Now the slaves they're on the roads at 5:30 in the morning. Oh, and the cat in the cradle, the kid, never saw his daddy. Daddy never showed up for the baseball game. Now mommy and daddy are both working and they shove the kid into a daycare at 6 weeks old. The baby boomers have given us the Gestapo society, the baby boomers, the Bill Clintons, the Hillary Clintons. These are the people that have raped us of our rights, and they salute them, and they've become them. They become everything that they said they hated.
I want to go to a few calls, and I've got to go soon, but they have literally embraced hypocrisy. The joke of giving a peace prize to Obama, and now I saw a month ago they're talking about giving him another one. They're saying all these wars, that's peace, and so I mean it's again, it's like they're trying to create a Alice in Wonderland scenario.
Yeah, again, this is who these people are. Don't forget the people you hated in high school and college, the class presidents, the head of the student councils. There they are, and they're telling you now what to do.
Incredible. Let's jam in a few calls here. I don't want to abuse the time of Gerald Celente. Bob in Chicago, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. Gerald, how's it going? First-time caller. Been listening for years.
Thank you, brother. What's on your mind?
Hey, I got a comment. I think that the belly of the beast is the Federal Reserve. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say that's where these private banksters get this quasi-government power.
Right, belly of the beast, because the beast has no heart. And, I try and communicate some of this stuff to people, and they just look at me like a deer in the headlights, like, what?
Yeah, well, don't feel bad. A lot of people on the GMO, on the fluoride, all this, they're in a trance, they watch TV all day. They don't count. It's always people who are awake on the side of good and evil that fight it out. So don't get discouraged. People that will wake up are waking up. But zombies, I mean, you just got to feel sorry for them.
No, yeah, it's like my wife. I tried to tell my wife, and she's like a deer in the headlights. And she says, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, look at me like a mustard seed. It's a tiny little thing, but you plant that seed, and it grows awfully big. So if I can just wake up a few people, and they can wake up a few people, and this thing could snowball.
Well, isn't your wife proud that you're somebody who cares and is involved? In every culture, women always admired men that would stand up for people. I mean, how do we lose that? Somehow in the last 50 years, with this fake feminism, they've like trained women that putting men down is cool, or that men are idiots, and all the sitcoms and dramas, the men are all a bunch of knuckle-dragging morons. That's all conditioning. Let's get Gerald's comment on that.
Well, yeah, I agree about the mustard seed, and everybody has to do